Hi guys, in this video tutorial I will be discussing regarding Python lists. So before discussing lists, we need to make clear what are basically lists. So lists are used to store multiple items in a single variable. So if I have multiple items, I can store it in a single variable with the help of a list. One more thing we need to keep clear. Lists are basically one of the four built-in data types in Python which are used to store collections of data. So we have basically four built-in data types in Python which are basically used to store the collection of data, and lists are one of them. List is one of them, while the other three are tuples, sets and dictionaries. We will be discussing each of them in the next video tutorial. So while in this video tutorial I will be discussing regarding lists in Python. So do watch this video tutorial till the end, and hopefully by the end of this video tutorial you have a good idea and good concept build up regarding lists. Now I will discuss some features of lists, Python lists. They are mutable or changeable. What does it mean? We can add or remove or change items in a list. List allow duplicates. So what does it mean? As we know that lists are indexed, so list can have multiple items with the same values. So let us discuss this point with an example. Before just do an example, there might be a question in your mind that I have said that as lists are indexed, so list can have multiple items with the same value. So what are basically items? So let us clear this point over here. Each item or a value that is basically inside of a list is called an item. Again repeating that each item or a value that is basically inside of a list is called an item. So let us do an example to clarify this. For example, I write it. So this is basically an item. Just write my name over it. This is another item. So basically each value each element or value that is inside of a list is basically an item. I hope that's clear. So now we will discuss how does list allow duplicates. As lists are indexed, so list can have multiple items with the same values. So I can just write apples again, and if I run it, so as lists are indexed, so basically through this how we can access any item in a list. Okay, so I believe it's now clear. As this allow duplicates, so I have written apples two times. You can write it multiple times. So if I write index 0, so basically I access this item in the list, and if I write list index 1, I access this item, and if I write list index 2, I access basically this item. So 0, 1, 2. So how we can create a list? Let us first discuss. So just need to create a list, you just need to write square brackets and just do it, enter, and check its type. So if I check its type, it's a list. So if I write a few elements in a list, for numerical numbers I don't need to put columns, so I just do so I just write it here. So this here I have created just a list. So now perform some few functions, few to check what are the features of list and to explore it further. If I want to access only the first element in a list, I will write. If I want to access the first two elements in a list, I will write. There is a mistake. So as you can see, I have assessed only the first element of the list, although I want to assess the first two elements of a list. So one thing you need to remember, in list if I write 0 colon 1, so before that elements all element will be picked up. So before before 1 we have 0, so it will only pick the 0 index value. So if I write here 2, so it will pick up it will not pick two second index element, it will pick up all the elements before index 2 elements. So we have 0 and 1. So here in this case I will get apple and moin. So I think it's clear, before that element all elements will be picked up. It will it will not pick up the element that I have written here. I have written 2, it will not pick that element. It will pick the element before that element. Before 2 we have 0 and 1, so it will pick the index 0 and index 1. So I hope that's clear to everyone. So if I want to get all the elements in a list, I will just write it will give me all the elements of the list. And if I want to get Moin and 1 from that list, I say please write syntax that gives me Moin and 1 from this list. It ignores apple, it ignores 2, and ignores 3 as well. So I will just write list, and its index is 0, its index is 1, so I will write 1, and 0 1 2, its index is 2. So as is consider all the elements before that element, so I will just write here 3. So it will consider the index 2 and index 1. So and index 1 we have Moin, and index 2 we have 1. So I get it as index 1 I have Moin, and index 2 I have 1. So I get what I want. So I hope that's clear. So one thing further, if I say I want all the elements except the last element, so I will simply do list column -1. It will give me all elements of this list except the last one. It will ignore the last one. So as you can see, we can check it here as well. So it is giving apple, moin, 1 2, and it's ignoring the last one. Video tutorial part 2, I will be discussing regarding the append function. What does append? We need append function. Append is basically used to add elements in the list. So I have a list. Let me So this is my basically list. So if I want to add something, so if I write append, so if I write list again, so as you can see here, the hello word is added at the last of the list. So here the hello word is added at the last of the list. So if I say list dot append, and I want to add two elements in the list, so today, so see here the difference. What does the difference appears? It basically creates a nested list. So you can see here a nested list has been created over here. When we try to add two elements combinedly in a list, so it creates basically a nested list. So here you can see here all the elements are basically added or appended at the end of the list. For example, if I say I want to add the element at the index 2, so add an element at index 0, index 1, or index 2, so I will simply write insert, I will just write the index, and here I will write mangoes. So let's see here. So as you can see here, mangoes are basically inserted at the index 1 of the list. So you can see here as well. So one more thing that we need to explore in list as well. If I want to avoid this nested list, one thing I can do is to use the extend function. So um, this is my list which I have. So if I write list dot extend, so here you can see that instead of creating a nested list, you can see that Monday and Tuesday are added to the list. Here you Monday and Tuesday are basically added to my list. One more thing, if I have a list like it, like this, so if I want to sum all the elements of the list, it's 5 plus 4 9 plus 3 12, 12 plus 2 14 plus 1 15. So it sums all the elements of the list. One more thing I'm missing is to discuss the pop method. Basically pop method removes any element of the list you want. So if I want to, by default it removes the last element. If I don't type any element over here, that which index element I want to remove, it will remove the last element of the list. So I will just, so it just removes the last elements of the list. So if I write, so it's just remove the element at the index 0. So this is my newly generated list I have now. So one more thing, if I want to count number of elements which appear in the list, for example I have a list of 1 2 3 4. So if I want to count the number of ones I have in the list, so I will just write list dot count 5 ones, list dot count 2 has appeared 1 time, 1 has appeared 5 times, 1 2 3 4 5. I hope that's clear to everyone now. One more thing which I might be missing, to find the minimum element in a list we just need to type this, and to find maximum you just need to type this. So here in this way you can find the minimum and maximum elements of the list. So guys, this is all from this video. Thank you guys for watching this video tutorial. In the next video tutorial I will be discussing regarding sets, dictionaries and tuples in Python. So see you all in the next video tutorial. Have a great day. Goodbye.